Motivation fuels belief, it's manifesting this. We speak, the world's yours. Wanna run it, gotta get up on your feet. Future youth, we must covet. Come together, no more greed, no more hate. You my brother, no matter ethnicity. Godspeed on your come on.
Yo. Welcome to CJ on the Spot podcast. We in the building right now, man, and I can't believe it. Right now, I have a special guest with me by the name of Sean Grant. What's up, Sean Grant?
Snap. Thank you, bro. I'm feeling good, man. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you being here now. For those who don't know Sean Grant, he is a hellified comedian, actor, content creator. You know it. This man does it in the comedy field. And if you guys don't have an idea of Sean Grant, I'm gonna give you a little snippet of one of his jokes in his stand-up and his new album that he just did. New album. You want to plug the album real fast?
Oh, for sure. It's Sean Grant, first of his name on Comedy Records.
First of his name on Comedy Records. So play a little short clip so you guys get my man, Sean Grant, his well-deserved dues.
They taught me how to love a my daddy taught me how to love a woman. Been my mama 25 years. It ain't quite 33, but 25. That's very impressive. Especially for a black man. Let me explain something to you. Because black men, we get a bad rap in the media. Y'all think women think that black men are not monogamous. Let me tell you something, ladies. That's a goddamn lie. Okay? The black man is a monogamous man. I read in a magazine, they took a survey. Said that less than 5% of black men cheat during the course of a relationship, making us the least likely race to cheat during the course of a relationship. Which finally, as a black man, is proof positive that black men do not participate in surveys, okay? It's just not something. I'd have obliterated that goddamn statistic. Anybody ask me shit, huh? All right, fine, black men cheat, shit, but it's because of the system propagated by the white man. Oh, no. I'm bullshit. We cheat because coochie's goodness everywhere, goddammit, that's why we cheat. It's like you trying to bring me down with you, you son of a bitch.
Oh, God, I said it.
Yeah. I had to give you guys a little taste, my man. Sean Grant, man, hey, man, once again, thanks for coming on the podcast, man.
Of course, man. No, thank you for having me, bro. Appreciate you.
Oh, man. So here's the thing, man. I had to have you on because, I mean, I'm not going to say we go way back, but we, a few years now.
Absolutely.
And when I say, and I mean it with the utmost love of my heart, man, you are one of the funniest dudes I have ever met. So,
Man,
and to see your stand up, and it was just like, it's just funny the way it hits, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of cats out there who are trying to do stand up, trying to do what you're doing, and you've been doing this for quite some damn time.
Yeah, man, like about 12 years since I was 17, so shoot, about 14 years. Bro.
14 years. Now, I know we ain't gonna go over through the whole 14 years, but can you just give us a brief rundown, like just from the beginning to like now, just the highlights, the low lights?
Yeah, most of it is low lights. I'm gonna keep it real.
Okay.
Most of it, but you know what? It's like anything else. You gotta learn. It's like it's one of the few professions that you're doing it as soon as you start. Does that make sense? Like when you want to become a doctor, you have to do a lot of schooling and then you're a doctor. But the day you pick up a mic, you're a stand-up comedian, and now it's just about you have to learn on the fly.
Yeah.
Like there's no learning besides on stage. So yeah, I've been booed and all that, man. Like you have to. It's a part of the process. So to get praise from you, man, especially somebody that understands live audiences, a host yourself, I feel like it means a lot to me. So I appreciate that. But like you want to know like my first
I'm just saying just give them the highlights, some of the highlights, and maybe some of the ones that are like
So you know what's funny is if you ever talk to a stand up, the things we remember, I think the stories people enjoy most are the lowlights. I think nobody really wants to hear about a comedian killing because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
You don't like remember killing, but like you remember like getting booed. Like I got booed at the Apollo when I was like 18. I was 18.
You did the Apollo at 18 years old?
Yeah, man. And that's just past the cutoff age where they can boo you. Because they can't boo you before you're 18.
I didn't know that.
Remember that, like, Lauryn Hill, they got in trouble because technically they say she got booed, but some people were booing her, but she was only 14, so they couldn't fully boo her. Like, they couldn't dance her off. But, if you're under 18, they're not allowed to boo you, no matter how bad you are. But if you're over 18, they can, they dance you off. It's horrible.
Now, would you say, not to cut you off, but would you say the Apollo as a comedian is like, not that you've made it, but it's like one of those places that you have to perform at if you're a comedian, you think?
Yeah, I think that it's good for you. It's like, you know, it's a very good, after I got booed, I remember having a validation of like, oh, no crowd can, that's the worst a crowd can do to you.
Yeah.
Because it's bad. And I'm not going to say it's not bad. It's, you have to go in it with the, oh, I want to kill it. Like, I want this to make my career, right?
Exactly.
And then when it destroys you, right, then you know what I mean? Like, because here's how it happened for me. I go out there, and the only family I had was, like, my uncle who passed away, like, just last year, actually. But he was there. Oh, he's a great dude. But he was there, his girlfriend, right? And I go out, I touch the stump, and I'm like, I'm broke. Anybody, you know, you're 18. That's all you talk about. I'm broke. Anybody else broke? And this dude stood up. I swear it's the greatest heckle till this day I've ever heard. He goes, that nigga killed. Can I curse? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
That nigga killed my daddy. That's what he said. And I said, oh, snap. Like, I had no idea how to respond to that. That was so perfect. And everybody started booing me. I didn't even get the joke out. And my uncle's girlfriend was like, you didn't even give him a chance. You didn't even give him a chance. And my uncle's like, shut up, bitch. And, you know, he's like, let's get out of here. And I'm just standing there because the girl before me had just got booed. So the Sandman had to change. So I'm like, do I wait or do I just leave? And their side stage like, no, wait for him to dance you up. And it's horrible. But at the end, here's what's really crazy that people don't know is they make you leave through the crowd. I didn't know that.
To add insult. It's like your atonement.
Dude,
it's like Game of
they have a
Thrones.
guard. He stands at the back door. I'm about to leave. He's like, where do you think you're going? And I was like, my uncle's house. He lives over on Lexington. And he's like, no. When you get booed, you got to leave the crowd. And they wait for you. Like, I waited till the janitor was done. They were still outside waiting for all the performers who got booed to leave, and they booed us. In person.
What the fuck is that about?
But it's good for you.
I never know that.
But it's
Bill's character.
Exactly, because I was like, man, like that's
can't get any worse.
Can't get no worse. So every other show I did after that was like, all right, you know, I survived that thing, you know. And the other part of it too, which I didn't use it as a crutch. I'm glad. Is later you learn like certain places like the Apollo where they come to boo and all that. It's hard to do original stuff,
Gotcha.
right? Like to be even at the Apollo with singers, they have to sing songs that everybody knows.
Yeah.
Otherwise they'll get booed. They're not really there to enjoy or to give something a chance or to hear something new, a new idea. They're there to kind of just enjoy just the talent aspect, so they can't see the creativity. And it's hard for a stand-up to thrive there. That's why Chappelle got booed there. A lot of great comics, because they're like, you might be trying to introduce a new idea to me. And I don't want that. I came to maybe hear, you know what I mean, a familiar sound or something that I've already, you know.
It sounds like the Apollo has created professional hecklers. Like that's what what they did. Created professional hecklers, you know. That's crazy.
I think it's such a great play. Like for that, like to go to like get those demons out. Like as people, you want to boo, you know, I get it. Like at first I didn't understand like why people came to shows and booed or heckled. But I'm like, oh, that's what we're here for. Because you go through like a regular day as a person and you're like, man, I want to say something to my boss. I want to say something to my wife. But you can't do that. You got to say it to the, you know, you could take it out on this guy that's living out his dream. It comes with the territory. You know what I mean?
Do you think that's something that helped build the black character when it came to comedy? Because, I mean, you know, as black people, we talk shit to each other.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like our thing. You know what I mean? That's like innate in us. So it's like maybe that stemmed from everybody from the Apollo and all that. I'm just curious about that because now that you mentioned that, I'm like, because you probably can do it better than I can. Name a few white comedians that actually probably were successful at the Apollo, you know, being, you know, white at the Apollo, trying to do comedy.
Yeah. And it speaks to the type of comedy too. I think like, cause you see with our culture, if you can survive your own family, like with any talent, I think if you're black, you'll be fine because we're very, you know, your family's the first ones that'll really shoot you down. You know what I mean? Like,
really, don't give two fucks about your feelings.
No, and and usually comedians aren't the funniest person from their family. They're just the person that did it. You know what I mean? They were the ones that had the courage and the drive to actually get booed and to go through the ringer. But usually there's somebody way funnier than you in your own family or who could sing better. You know what I mean? You're just the person that took the chance and broke the norm. But yeah, I think with black families, you know, they're a little. It's not that it's even not encouraging. Once they feel like you can do something, then you have full support. You know what I mean? But you got to get through that first stage of, you know, singing at Thanksgiving or tell you a little joke in front of the family and see if, or being that tension breaker. That's what it was for me. Is it would get tense and then I'd do something stupid to relieve the tension. And I think that's the base of my comedy. It's like to release the tension.
Now, you had mentioned Dave Chappelle, who got booed at the Apollo. Yeah. And it's kind of like a two-part question. One, I've heard Dave Chappelle and other comedians say, if you have performed at this place, you will da-da-da-da. Now, other than Apollo, what are some places that you feel like are like, when you got to get through this spot? Because a lot of them not in the big spots, not the Cotton Club or comedy stores. A lot of them are these rinky-dink places that you don't ever think about. Yeah. Can you name maybe a few that you might know of that people are like, that's it?
You know what? I think because with Chappelle, I think with his story, it was the Bill Bellamy spot in New Jersey.
Yeah, there you go.
A lot of comedians of that era would talk about, I forget what it was called, like the Candy Room or something like that. But it's the place he hosted in Jersey. But I know with every generation and every area, there's a different spot like that. You know, and I'm sure it's like that with other art forms. I'm not familiar, but like singing. For me, in my time, it was coming up in Miami, Benji Brown's spot. Benji Brown used to run a Tuesday night urban night at the Improv. At the Improv in Coconut Grove. And like Trick Daddy would be there, and Trina, and like football players from the U, and Dante Culpepper, who played for the Dolphins at the time. And like, they were a rough crowd, especially because the way Benji would run the show was he's super funny, but super like urban. Like you ain't talking about nothing but, you know what I mean? He gets the crowd in a certain mindset, super hood. And like, if you could have got through that, and that's not just Miami, like anybody coming through, like a lot of comedians at that time have stories about going through that spot. Lil Duval and what's his name, my boy D-Lay, and a lot of comics who. So I think it just changes with the regional and with the time period. You know, everybody's got those spots. So wherever, you know, a comedian might be starting right now, if you hear about a place that's horrible, go there. You know what I mean? Like, go there. Get booed. Like, go through it. Like, the fear of it is what's really stifling you, not the actual thing.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And then you'll get more respect.
Okay. And what's the place in L.A. you think is one of those spots like that?
Man, you know what? L.A.
Or it's just L.A. in general?
Oh, man. No, L.A. is great. You know what it is about L.A.? And it can create I hope I don't make enemies from what I'm about to say. But
it's all good.
A lot of, you know, when you say L.A., right? Like, a lot of it is L.A. places don't boom. Like, if you go to, like, maybe, like, the Family Room, is that Compton? That's not really L.A.
It's not, I mean, it's L.A. County.
It's L.A. County, exactly.
It's not, like, the heart of L.A., if you want to say something like that.
L.A. is a weird, like, you know, it's a different energy than any other place on the planet because you won't get booed. Like, there's even the family, I don't really boo you. You might get heckled at the Family Room, at the rougher places, even at the Monday night, urban night that they did at the Improv with D-Ray.
Okay.
It's not really a tough room. They don't boo, but you can bomb. Like, I've seen guys bomb, but because I think a lot of artists live here, bombing is it's like an industry bomb. Like, if a comedian, like, performers understand that. Like, you know, when people are sitting there judging you, like, I can do that. Like, that's the energy you might get from an LA crowd.
Got you.
That's hard. That's a really hard hurdle to me, as opposed to a working man that has no desire to do what you're doing, but he goes, this is not worth my money. Boo. You know what I mean? Like, I want to enjoy it. That's the worst part about a boo in the South is they paid to enjoy you. Yeah. And you messing up.
You ain't delivering.
Yeah. They didn't come in here like, I wish I was that guy. Like, maybe one guy or some repressed weird thing. But for the most part, they came to enjoy, and you messing up their night. You know what I mean?
almost feel like the difference between the East Coast and maybe the South compared to the West Coast people, because you know, we always talk about how rude New Yorkers are. We always talk about how, you know, people are in the South. but damn it, you know, it builds character. Like,
Yeah.
I should be able to boo you because I don't like the fuck you doing. Like, look,
Right.
you don't bag my groceries well. Boo.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I
Straight
should
up.
be able to boo your ass
Straight
because
up.
you're doing some dumb shit.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know why your store says 50% off the entire store, and it's on, but then it says selected items on the bottom.
Right.
I don't understand
That's
that.
a boo.
That's a boo.
Yeah,
I boo your
hell
ass,
yeah.
right?
Hell yeah. Y'all a little too laid back to really boo. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
damn, why this is bad. But you like, you need like a bunch of people to agree with you, and this is bad. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
y'all don't react immediately.
And then you gotta tweet it. You can't.
Right,
You
and
gotta
then-
tweet it or put it on Instagram. Like,
Right.
this was some bad. Hashtag never coming back.
Oh, my
Hashtag
gosh.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? And I feel like it's LA too is so it's in a good way. It's mixed, like diverse.
Yes, definitely.
You know what I mean? Like it's like with Miami, and really any place, like a lot of other places, is so segmented
Mhm.
that like you could see like certain cultural things. I think booing is like maybe a black cultural thing, because that's not really. You know, I don't know if Latino people do it or Asian
couldn't- yeah.
people, but because the crowd's so mixed, it'd be like they wouldn't know how to get with the symphony of a boo. You know what I mean? Like that's such a because you can feel
You
it
gotta
when
be
you
on-
feel a boo. Like you'll hear. Here's how a boo goes. If you ever seen a boo, like comedian bombs, okay, like it's dead, like nobody laughing, and then they bomb again, like another joke that was supposed to land doesn't land, and it's still, and then guy goes, boo. Like, way in the back, like, and then another dude that doesn't know him connects with him from across the room. Yeah, boo. and it's like, oh, and these two boos, and then it creates a symphony, a rhythm of boo. Like it starts low too,
Yeah.
because you can feel it grumbling, and then you start panicking as the performer. You're like, oh my god, oh my god.
Oh
what
my
do I do? Do I
gosh.
adjust the boo, or
Yeah.
do I keep my act going? And then it just is now it's like a wave just rushing the stage of energy of I hate you, and I get, and then you hear little suggestions in it, kill yourself, and like weird like drink some bleach and all that, like just rushing.
Some rude
you.
ass people, man.
Oh man, but it's good for you.
Yeah, I mean, so you know, you talked about the culture being different in LA,
Yeah.
and there's so much diversity, you know.
Right,
and being LA is literally, you know, one of the entertainment capitals of the world. I mean, depending what you believe in, you know, obviously you got like the Broadways
Right.
in New York and the East Coast, and now you got Black Hollywood up down in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And so out here in Hollywood, how is it for comedians nowadays? I know you don't just do comedy. You're an actor too.
Yeah.
So how competitive is it being in California?
Yeah.
You feel like you need to be in California because you're from Florida originally, so you had to be in California. You felt like to really blossom as a comedian actor.
I think for me, yeah, I think it was the best place because of the type of performer or the type of career that I wanted to have. As far as I know New York is a very much more of a theater place, and I think stand-ups thrive there greatly, but I think I've learned a lot about the acting game and like characterization, like from doing improv and stuff that I probably might not have picked up in other places, and about on-camera stuff that you know I've learned from being here. I think the cool thing about LA, the best part is it's literally the desert climate-wise, or in a way, but it's a desert. You have to get away from wherever you're from. Hollywood's not really a place; it's an idea. As far as the way I think,
I've never had somebody quite put it that way, but you
Yeah,
know what? I agree with you on that. It's an idea.
it's an idea. It's like if you go to Hollywood, right? Like if you and I go to Hollywood, we know where it is on the map, kind of. You know where the sign is, but we have left. What it means is we've left whatever generational patterns our families have had for years, right? For me, it's my grandpas and my grandpa and my uncles are mechanics, and that was pretty much my, what I knew as far as being a pattern of how to live your life, as far as making a living and what you do with your life. So to leave that, it's and you have to leave and go on this journey, this sojourn, and we've both gone to Hollywood in doing that. Whatever you left behind, you've come here. And we've been willing to, whether it's starve to death, be homeless, live in our car, we both agreed that that's better than going along with whatever pattern we were going to go along with. It doesn't have to be, I'm not saying being a mechanic or an electrician. It would have been the same if we were doctors. I wouldn't have felt drawn to that.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the same with anybody. I know comedians from all different walks of life whose parents were doctors or business people, and they just couldn't follow that pattern anymore. They had to come to a place, and this is where we've all gathered. So this is the only place I feel like where people understand living in the conditions that we do for the goal in mind. You know what I mean? Like what we pay for, like nothing here is like other people in other places. Like, why would you do that? Why would all these people agree to live in these conditions? And it's because we all have we just had to break whatever pattern we were on and at least attempt.
I got you, man.
What I mean?
Yeah, yes, you're right. Because in order to, like you said, to break the pattern, you have to think outside the box too.
Right.
And once you start thinking outside the box and you're around other like-minded people that think outside the box, you guys congregate together.
It becomes easier.
Yeah, it becomes easier. It's, you know, it's just like, okay, it's like somebody who is trying to decide to go to a historical black school versus a traditional school. And they're like, well, I feel more comfortable around people who are more like me.
Right.
And same thing when it comes to it. Now, if this is Hollywood, quote unquote, and everybody is here for the same thing, you know, and it's really like I never knew how much you know, entertainment, getting into the industry was more luck than skill.
Oh yeah, it has such a big spiritual component.
It's about networking, network, and that's the thing that people. Well, now people will tell you that, but I'm saying, like, I feel like coming up, nobody really said, look, you got to go out here and network. You got to go out there, intern. You got to go out there and do these things. Like, I wasn't taught that in school. If I wanted to be, you know, if I was going to be an actor, everybody's like, well, you should go to this acting school or you should do this. It's like, okay, I can do that. But you, at the same time, you should intern right here while you have enough, while you're living at home, so you don't have to worry about bills and all this good stuff.
Yeah.
And
it's got to be like, oh, you know, here's the thing. It's not like do this, do that, and then this, because that's what the normal pattern. You go to electrician school, you get your certificate, you become an electrician. Somebody will hire you to do that. I could tell you, go to acting school, do all those things, network, and you still probably won't make it. You know what I mean? Now, and in saying that, it's not a negative. It's like you have to go. It's still worth it. Yeah. Like, it's still worth the journey. Even if I never make. First of all, the only person it'll matter to is you. When you're dead, you know what I mean? Nobody's going to care that you didn't make it or even realize that something will have happened, and that'll have been your life. You know what I mean? You know, so it's like nobody's going to be like, oh, CJ never accomplished what he set out to do. You've already accomplished it in attempting it. You know what I mean? Because technically, Martin Luther King is a failure then. Like, because he set out to do something.
He didn't see his dream come all the way true.
That he knew wouldn't be coming to fruition. Exactly. So just the idea that I'm willing to die on this journey, one, shows how much you hated the pattern and that you were happy. At least you were attempting to pursue happiness. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing too, because I feel like when I first said I'm gonna become a host and do that, I want to do that full time. Yeah. You know, it was hard because I was looking at that. I was looking at the pattern like, okay, I was looking for somebody to say, do this, do this, do this. You know what I mean? That's what I was looking for. I'm like, because it made sense. You know what I mean? Like, all right, if I do this, okay. But there's so many other things, little things to do just to help you get in the what's the word? Not proximity, but get in the realm of where you need to. Like, you know, you remember when I told you I did that thing for the Conan O'Brien show down in San Diego? Yeah. And the only way I got that was because one of my good friends, Lavelle Johnson, his homie works on the Conan show. Yeah. And so he was like, you want to do it? I'm like, yo, yeah, I'll do it. But he said, you're probably going to get paid. It's an internship. Right. And I'm like, at first, when I started, I'm like, nah, I can't do something and not get paid for it because of the fact of I had bills and all that stuff. But once I was willing, like you said, to die for this or lay my, you know, put everything I had into it, you know, which meant like if I have to be broke, I got to be broke. Right. You know what I mean? Once I was able to do that, and I told him, like, man, you know what? Another opportunity came up, and he was like, I'm like, you know what, man, just tell him I'll do it. I don't care. Yeah. And he was just like, all right, cool. So I had to find my own way out there. It was in San Diego, which is not bad because, you know, whatever, catch a flight or drive down 2 hours, not bad. And then on a whim, I just sent them in my reel with my resume, and she was just like, hey, yeah, we wanted to do this, but tell me more about your hosting. And I was like, all right. And I went into this with her, and she had me on the phone with one of, like, the talent scouts for the show. Yeah. And I was like, all right, cool. And I was like, and then I get an email. I didn't hear from her for like a week. And then because they were out in, I think they were in Ghana. That was when Conan went to Ghana. Oh, yeah. And she came back, and she was like, sorry to get back to you, but we want to offer you this audience assistant coordinator position. I'm like, oh shit, that's a paid position, you know. And the funny thing is, I did not know what an audience assistant coordinator was, but just like the Black philosophy, fake it till you make it. So I started looking stuff up. I was like, what does this person do? I'm researching the hell out of it, which is great nowadays, because back then you probably couldn't, like back, you know, in the 80s and 90s, I couldn't do that, you know. But now I can just look some shit up, get definitions, know what to do. So I did all that, and then, you know, it just turned into me hosting Team Cocoa House and me doing over the God announcements at Team Cocoa House, which I was like, oh my God,
this is what I wanted to do.
This is what I want to do. This is what I set out to do. Yeah. This is what I got done. And this wasn't me like going to a school. This wasn't me, you know, this was me just networking and a plug through a friend of mine who believed in my talents enough to be like, just do it. You know, just go out there and do it. And so I understand what you, I mean, I understand where you're coming from. Like, in the thought process people have to change when you're going to entertainment. It's like, you got to network, you got to do all the little stuff, because you never know what can lead to what. You never know who you're gonna meet,
dude. It's so, every single story in Hollywood is that is the story you just told. There's not, like, when I did Laugh Tracks, it was because I was doing a set at the Ha Cafe, Ha Comedy Club, and, you know, which I was like, it's not that many people. I almost didn't show up. It was like a last minute thing, like, because somebody else dropped out of the show. I was like, whatever, did it. And Brandon Brody, another comedian who, you know, who was a producer on Laugh Tracks, said that joke will be perfect for this thing that we're doing called Laugh Tracks. Yeah. And then 2 seasons later, I've been on both seasons, right? Yeah. But if I didn't look at every little thing, not even just that Brandon Brody was there. It was that Brandon Brody met me before we'd done shows together, and me and Brandon Brody were cool. Because had any of those times, like, me and, like, had some jealous thing between us, or if I was rude to him, he would not have approached me and said that.
Because you never know. Yeah, exactly. And speaking of that shit was fucking hilarious. The first one with the shoes and, like, I think don't you have it on your album, right? You think you have that?
Yeah, I have that joke on the album, and then they, you know, did some stuff that made it a little more TV friendly. But yeah, pretty much me getting robbed my first week in LA. Yeah. And so that's on season 1. Season 2 is about my first job, and David Keckner's a part of that. But I wouldn't have got season 2 if I didn't do season 1. I wouldn't have got season 1 if I didn't know Brandon Brody, or if Brandon Brody stepped out the room. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, anything, he could have got a phone call from somebody and not heard that joke. And this is all just being positive and being in the universe and just doing whatever opportunities, not whatever, but just turning on your spiritual GPS is what's his name? Tyler Perry? Tyler Perry. Yeah. Tyler Perry said you have to have a spiritual GPS, which is goes to luck or whatever you call it. Karma or whatever the different God, whatever you want to call it. But just knowing that, okay, all right, let me go. There's something will guide you along the things that you connect the dots later. Like, oh, God, but no one path in this Hollywood thing goes, do this, and it equals that. It's impossible.
It's impossible.
There's no way to know.
It's just so much. And I know, and I want to say something, too, is that I feel like comedians, I know we just always prize on being funny, but like a person like yourself, you're just everybody's so there's a lot of comedians that are so deep. And you know, you can tell through their comedy that they just hit, you know, I mean, because you got political comedy, you got, you know, physical comedy. A lot of people don't understand the difference, but I mean, you'll know when you see it. Like, you know, watching like somebody like Cat Williams, who I feel is comedy's game more towards the political side. You know, just correct me if I'm wrong though, but I mean, I feel like his comedy's reached that way on certain his last 2. But he also is physical. He does a lot of physical comedy as well, you know, as opposed to a person who's like a Dave Chappelle, whose last special was a little more, which I didn't find that funny, which is so funny. The last Dave Chappelle special he did, I didn't find it that funny. But the funny thing is, he said this shit ain't funny. Like, like this shit wasn't made to be funny.
Did you find yourself enjoying it?
I did enjoy it. I was engaged in it, and that's what I'm saying though. Like, you can somebody can be funny, but yet engaging. It don't have to be like a die over laugher every time. It just as long as it's engaging enough to just go, I'm gonna watch this. Because, you know, and long as my favorites, you know, what's so funny is my favorite stand up is Dave Chappelle, but it's not even a stand-up special.
Yeah.
It's the 25-year reunion at Def Comedy Jam when he's just going off the record. Like, he's just going.
That's so amazing. Yeah.
He was just, improvising his ass off. He's like, yep, we're going to try this. Like, why not?
What makes it so special is that he's doing it in a room full of legendary comedians.
And they're laughing their
and
ass
treating it like it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, do you know how hard it is to make comedians laugh, much less a room full of them, and they're all top-notch professional ones?
Right.
That's almost like a flex of superiority that's beyond anything else. Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? But yeah, he's gotten the right to be that introspective throughout his career. I think because I had to realize what you're saying later in my career. Because early on, what you focus on is getting laughed, first of all, because that takes a while, right?
Yeah.
To learn how to put something together in your voice that gets a laugh, right? That in your original voice. It takes a minute. But then once you figure that out, then you start going after laughs per minute because you're like, that's how you look at who had a better set. Like, if you and I are newer comics, you'd be like, man, that dude was right. Every, like, maybe, in a minute, he would get about 4 laughs. Or, like, you look at Tony Roberts, he gets about maybe 6, 7 laughs in a minute because of the way he puts a joke together. His structure's so bang, 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 bang. So you would go, dang, like, that's how comedians count up jokes. They don't go by the quality of the laugh or did I find it funny. If I'm sitting in the back of the room judging, like, who's rocking LPMs, laughs per minute. And you're like, wow. But then you're like, really, then you go beyond that if you're like a Chappelle, because laughs per minute in that special that did Netflix thing was maybe he probably got 3 laughs. But they were so quality. You know what I mean? Like, they felt right. You didn't feel like you wasted your time. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, if I would have a set like that where I did 10 minutes and got 3 laughs, I'd be like, oh, my God, I bombed. You know what I mean? But he's so beyond. He's almost transcended comedy, and he's like a speaker. Does that make sense? He's like Malcolm X. Like, Malcolm X was funny. Yeah. He would get laughs, too. If you watch an hour of Malcolm X talking, even though what he's talking about is a lot of seriousness, he had jokes. He was funny. Same with Muhammad Ali. He's just a great speaker. Dick Gregory. These guys transcend into this place where they're funny, but then they can bring it down and it can have brevity in it. It can be like, oh my God, like thrilling. You know what I mean? Yeah. You can be sad. You can run through the gambit of emotions. I'm not going for that in my comedy. I don't want you to, you know what I mean? Like, feel no heaviness, but that's maybe I need to mature more as a comic, or maybe that's just who I am. Like, I don't trust myself with certain topics. I don't care about him maybe as much as other people. Got you. And I'm like, that's his thing. That's good. You know what I mean? I like to do it a certain way. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not going to rush that process because early on, you wouldn't give a fuck about what Dave Chappelle says now if he wasn't funny earlier.
That's true. You know what? That's damn true.
This couldn't have been his first special because you'd be like, who is this dude and why do I care what he thinks? But you care what he thinks now because he's earned everybody's respect over the years of being funny. The funny came first. Yeah. You know what I mean? Then everything else, then you cared about his ideas and his family and all that other stuff. But first, he was just a funny-ass kid. He learned the language and the rhythm of being funny, and then he used that as his platform to being what he is now, which is just this transcendent, important figure that you care about his ideas. Okay.
Now, is there anybody that you look up to comedian-wise, or is that like, nah?
Oh, man. I've literally maybe everybody. Like, that sounds weird or maybe even cliche, but I mean, like, anybody who's done this for any period of time. I read biographies. I've read Steve Martin's. I didn't even like Steve Martin or any of his comedy before I read his book, and then I got an understanding of what he did or what his algorithm was for approaching comedy. Yeah. Then I was like, I not only respect him more, but I respect alt comedy, which I never even liked or got into. Alternative comedy, because he's part of that, the beginning of that. Like him and Andy Kaufman, those are like kind of the grandfathers of that weird comedy that doesn't have a set-up punchline type structure. It's just, it's just sporadic, Like,
I love how you're like a student. You have to be a student with your game of comedy. Like, you're reading these books and all this stuff, and that's something you got to do. And people don't understand that you have to be a student, as well as the teacher. And, you taking the time out to do that and reading that material. Because I know there's a couple of books you like, hey, man, you should try this book and read this book. And this will change how you might think about something, or it might help you towards this and that. And it's been helpful. So I'm just saying, man, that's great. But I know you look up to to a lot of people. Bruce Lee has this quote says, use what is useful and discard what is useless and essentially make it your own.
Absolutely.
So it's the same thing where I feel like you're doing your comedy, like you're pulling little bits and pieces from everybody in the game, seeing what they did right, seeing what they did wrong, and then now you can make your own style.
Dude, imagine like reading a book about somebody who did whatever it is you're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
Like whatever it is that you might set your life toward doing. You're like, they put it all in one place. They put every experience they ever had. And all this, I don't know how long it takes somebody to read necessarily. It could be a week or a month, but they put an entire lifetime of lessons into this little condensed form that you can learn all the same lessons they did in a rapid amount of time. Rather than going through it yourself, and you start to see yourself in it. You're like, oh, especially early on in somebody's journey. Yeah, like now he's Rodney Dangerfield, or now he's Red Fox, or now he's, you know what I mean? Like, because they're just this idea in your head of a legend. But at one point, he was just a dude trying to do mics, or just a guy trying to tell jokes, or
that's
you know,
always true. Yeah.
Or his mom's maybe. Any of these people that you go through and study their life, and you're like, oh, I start to see myself and my own friends and my own circle the same as this person. They're just a person that we've elevated. Same Chappelle, anybody. So whatever you do, like you said, like learn that. Be a student, be a nerd, and like read, because it's like, yo, they're giving you a cheat sheet. You have to go through the same shit that they went through. You know what I mean? And like, sure, the context changed with time, but certain things, like just being a cool person, like every single lesson, like a lot of times people are like, man, I wish I was just not so much of an asshole. Like, you know, I've had to learn from them.
And it's funny that you mentioned the fact that like you learn from them, and you know their ups and downs and everything. I mean, you know, back, you know, the one of the big catastrophic things that might have happened to certain comedians during this time, like let's say the Great Depression. You know what I mean? We got some, and a lot of people found sanctuary in comedy, you know, through the Great Depression. And that helped a lot of comedians get to where they are now, or at least help them, you know, shape the world in a certain degree. Right now, what we're dealing with this crisis, with this COVID-19, it's like our Great Depression. Matter of fact, it's almost reaching to the numbers of the Great Depression, if I'm not mistaken, as far as the unemployment rate and all that stuff that's going on, especially in California. So if they had it a little bit easier during the Great Depression, because at least they were still able to go out and do certain things, go to shows or whatever case may now. But a person like yourself, who is a comedian, actor, you know, in the entertainment field, how are you holding up with not being able to go anywhere to do comedy? You know what?
I get it's bad out there, but man, I feel my shit. I'm doing good. I feel
fuck what you going through.
I feel guilty.
I feel good.
You know, because I feel like I've been through my own. While I was doing real bad, I think a lot of other people were doing really good, and you know that's fine. But I'm saying like this isn't so bad. Like I'm getting like. You know, I saved my money, and me and my I just got engaged.
Oh yeah, congratulations, man!
Oh, thank you, bro. Hold on, is this the camera right there?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me show my six pack. Hold on, can the light? Let me see.
Oh man, like, what up?
Can they see it?
Yeah. They like it. They like it. They like it.
Oh hell yeah! Yeah, I don't know if it did it justice.
Stupid
But
ass.
no, man, I was like, man, let me take this time to really reflect. See, because sometimes you get so lost in what you're doing, like even comedy. I'm like, what am I if I'm not doing comedy? Like I had to figure that out. I'm like, dang, I feel like I could be more fit. I feel like I could learn another language. I feel like I could to just become a better person, like improve myself. And then I think with comedy, especially, your comedy will just improve. Like I've written jokes, but I'm like, when they come to me, I haven't forced myself because I'm like, I don't have that many shows. I got a couple Zoom shows, which I hate. I hate it.
A Zoom show just sounds so
horrible.
I've seen my buddy do one for he had like a 1 minute. I'm like, really? What?
Yeah,
I mean, you know, it's hard.
It's fun enough. You know, I did one for Lush Cosmetics. Shout out to them. Like that was actually cool because you could see their faces, you know, in the TV screen. So it was me, Jeff Dye, Daniel Carter, and some other comics, and we're doing this for this company, and that's what you do. You do it to see the laughter as it's happening. But some you just talking to these 4 comedians, and you can see a number, which is the amount of people watching, but you can't see them. So I'm like, well, so you're just spilling your shit into the void, And what was once 10 minutes of material, you're burning through it. I'm like, damn, I'm at 4 minutes. And because you're not really
Audience
going with the
participation.
rhythm.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, there's no laughter. So it's like you almost have to learn a different style, which is like you got to laugh at your own joke or to create the pauses. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it's just a paragraph that you're saying. And I'm like, oh, God, it's cool to get good at it, but it's like a different thing. It's not the same as being in the rhythm of a room. Just like we watch church, you know what I mean? Like, or anybody who gets like that reaction from a crowd, and you're like, you ride the wave of it. It's a different energy, you know what I mean? And if you don't have that, you're doing something else. You know what I mean? You're just talking. So I mean, no disrespect to anybody that loves Zoom shows, but it's a different talent, and I don't love it necessarily.
But you have gained another talent through this crisis, which was developing your own news show.
Oh man,
Can you talk about that? Because I feel like you are gonna be. I feel like this is gonna be one of the things that probably blow your career, and even more than it has already done.
Thank you, bro.
Because I mean, go ahead and explain the show though.
Yeah, it's called the Hypothetical Debate Show. You're one of the actual first people I told about the concept, and I really appreciate your feedback about it because it helped me move forward with it. You know what I mean? But when I, my girlfriend and I were having these hypothetical arguments. Yeah. And I was like, man, we called some comedian friends, and they would, just get drawn out into day-long, calls back and forth. And I'm like, this is so funny how comedians argue. And the same things that we do, for political arguments and sports arguments, people do for stupid arguments. So it was so cool. So we created the Hypothetical Debate Show with Sean Grant, and it's where comedians argue over topics that mean nothing for points that mean nothing. And we just finished 10 episodes, man. I'm so excited because we had Dwayne Perkins on there. We had a lot of great young comics on there, J.C. Carayas, Ralph Guerra, Mina Quarterman, all these people. I can't name everybody, but they're so dope. And Brian Simpson, Ron Taylor, and just the things like who's the better wife, Aunt Viv or Claire Huxtable, or if sharks had legs, would every human be dead? And to see the lengths that comedians will go through to prove their points. And some of the times the funniest things is when a comic feels like they're losing real bad, and then they just attack the other comic. Like I had Trey Stewart and Hassan Ahmad on there, and Trey just kept calling Hassan a terrorist. And it was such a beautiful thing, like to see what somebody will do to win an argument. I even had one person bring up personal business. My friend Cornelia, she was on the show with David Murphy, and he brought up the fact of a Ram that she was dating, some football player or whatever, and she was like, that's my business. Why you put my business out there? And I said, you know what? That's how you win on this show, man. If you're willing to destroy your friendship, and it's such a fun thing because I'm like, I feel like I'm a good host for it because what I like to I watch hosts, like you said, I study. I feel like Martin Lawrence was great in that he made. That's one of the people I look up to. He's such a great host. He's exactly, and you know from being a host, like it's about the show. Like a lot of great comics who I respect don't understand second mic. You know what I mean? Like letting somebody else shine. Yeah. And I love people around me shining. I want to make them funnier. So with me, I pretty much stick to the script, and I'm just there to hype up the other comics.
Gotcha. Yeah, so definitely.
That's it.
That's what a host does. I mean, for the most part.
Yeah, and it feels good because I'm like, dang, there's still some funny ass moments that I can get into, like just from being the point guard. Sometimes the play comes to you and you get the laugh, but it's like the show, I love it more and more the more I'm having to edit it and do all this other stuff.
Which is a task.
I know. It's a task. I already know because you're one man wrecking ball, man. But I'm trying to be on that same wavelength where I had to, make something happen on my own. I couldn't I couldn't just approach, even though I know some people at different networks or whatever. I'm not going to beg somebody to like my idea. I'm like, I see it. And we try to put it out there. So I hope, you and your audience, when I, drop it in September, it's going to be September 2nd. It's going to be the first episode. Okay. With Baleka Wisa and Michael Hawk. And, yeah, man, I just, hopefully we get to another season. It's 10 episodes. I'm probably going to do it once a week. So every Wednesday, drop it. But yeah, the Hypothetical Debate Show with Sean Grant, man. I hope you guys can check it out.
I'm looking so forward to that shit. I ain't even gonna lie, because it's just like what they're doing now with the music, with the verses kind of deal.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
and that's really a big thing right now.
Yeah.
So I feel like you can ride that wave, because some people, and it's funny is because people like he talked about like quote unquote nerds before, like, you know, a person like me who's a nerd.
Yeah.
And you know, there's stuff that we argue about in the nerd community.
Yeah.
That's just like, why would you even argue about that? It's like, well, because we can, motherfucker.
Right,
like, we love this, and we know, like, because, you know, on one of my other podcasts, we talk about, like, old school movies. And we talk about, like, if they should or should not be remade.
Yeah.
Like, I totally trash, like, I mean, as you can see, I'm a big Ninja Turtle fan.
Right,
so,
right.
so I totally trashed the new Ninja Turtle movie compared to the old one. You know what I mean? It's like, this is why this one's better. No, this is why this one's better. This is why this one. So I understand what you mean. So when you came to me with the concept, I'm like, yo, you own the fucking something right here. That's like some shit you think of when you high. It like, you know what I mean? but they're not high, you know, but they're just comedians that are talking shit about shit that we probably talk about amongst friends on the low, but you like, yo, because I don't mean how many times I've had a debate, and I told you this before, like, me and my friends talking about who was the sexiest cartoon. Was it Jessica Rabbit or Betty Boop or whatever her name is? Like, who was the sexiest one? Like, it's like, you know, what's going on here?
Absolutely.
And the one that, when you told me that, I know, I'm sorry, I don't want to give away a lot of stuff on your show, but the one thing, the argument you said, I'm like, this is about to be funny as fuck. And when you said girlfriends versus living single,
and
I was just like, yo, what the fuck? Like, there's no question that Living Single was the best motherfucking girl show out there, you know. But then you were talking about, like, you know, how, you know, the person on the show was talking about how, you know, how Girlfriends was, and then when you it was just funny to me. You just telling me, and it was just like, yo, this is funny.
What's crazy is sometimes the way you frame the question can make it more of a battlefield, because it's like, what I asked wasn't which one was better. Okay. What I asked was, because it was Mina Quarterman and it was Jasmine Carter, right? Okay. And they're these two biopic. What is it? No, not biopic. LGBTQ. Anyway, they're
ABCs. Yeah.
They're both LGBTQ comedians.
I do this shit off of Dave Chappelle, so I just go. ABC is easier to me.
But super funny, and they're both obviously black female comedians, and I'm like, if they recasted the show, which one, they recasted the lead, which one would you rather be in? So you could even still think that Living Single's the better show, but say, you know what, Tracee Ellis Ross had a better post-comedy career or post-show comedy career than did Queen Latifah. Obviously, Queen Latifah is just super talented. She's going to be in all different realms because she's a musician and all that. But just comedy-wise, Tracee Ellis Ross, it just translated into Blackish. I don't know.
I see what you're saying, though.
You know what I'm saying?
Because my question, no doubt, but now when you say it that way, it makes me think about it like, well, okay.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, though. But that shit, like I said, bro, I think that shit about to be super.
Thank you, bro.
Hilarious. I'm looking forward to seeing that show, the Hypothetical Debate. If a network don't pick this shit up, there's a problem. I'm just telling you right now, if a network don't pick this shit up, put it out yourself. And and black community, not even just black community, all communities of comedy need to support this brother on that show. Comes out September 2nd, and it's gonna be hilarious. If you don't laugh, something's fucking wrong with you. I'm just letting you know right now. But Sean, I want to say thank you, man, for coming on the show. And the only thing I want to ask you is, for a person who's just trying to get started out there, you know, in comedy and acting, what is some advice that you would get to them? What are some closing words that you would say to them to get them motivated to do what they have dreamed to do but are scared to do?
You know what? I feel like some of the best advice is from Eddie Murphy, where he said, don't take people's advice or whatever. Like, I get that, but I think the only thing that I think, because like you said, like we established earlier, there's no one path. And there's all kinds of things that'll connect later. But I do think that being a good person goes a long way. It could get you past whatever level of talent you're at. And when I say that, man, just make sure that as best as you can, you might still need to develop as far as being a kind human being, whoever you are. Yeah. But when you treat people with respect at the different levels, right, that goes I've had so many opportunities from just being, you know, cool with people.
Yeah,
like from
definitely.
Just being as welcoming as I can. If I see, I'm not no Mother Teresa, nothing like that, but to be like, just be kind, man, or just be courteous, be respectful, And I feel like people notice that even if you're not doing it for them, like, you know, like you're being respectful to somebody else, or it just, I've had so many opportunities create themselves from that, from just trying to be as humble as I can and just leaving a solid footprint. Now, when you get on stage, be a wrecking ball, be an asshole, whatever, but I've seen a lot of careers destroyed from somebody that people just don't like to be around you. You just got negative, this aura around you that's not positive. So if you feel like people take you that way, then maybe address that. You know what I mean? And say, oh, what could I have done better in this, you know, transaction or whatever. And always blame yourself, man. Like, cause you got to think like, you could sit here all day and say, oh, I'm better than this person. I'm better hosting that person. Why is he getting all these opportunities?
Because I be doing that. I ain't gonna lie.
No, we all do it. That's the thing. That's the first thing you got to do is say, all right, we all do that. You know what I mean? We've all saw somebody in a position and hated on them. But it's like, you got to go, what could I be doing from right where I'm at? And what is somebody else looking at me, you know what I mean, trying to covet? Because you got to say, dang. You know, so a lot of times you don't realize what like you said, the Conan opportunity, hosting all these shows and mics, all these opportunities you've created for other people. There's somebody wondering how you do that. You know what I mean? How you create all these podcasts, how you get all these other things going for you, merchandise and everything, CJ on the spot. And they jealous of where you're at. So appreciate where you're at and just be fucking cool, man. You know
just be motherfucking cool, man. I appreciate you, but man. Thank you guys. Once again, this has been the CJ on the Spot podcast. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and listen to us on all our audio sourcing websites and all that good stuff. But once again, one more shout out to my boy Sean G for coming into the building and blessing us with a little conversation, man. So once again, I've been your host, CJ. I'm out.
Hello world, boys and girls, shine your light bright like diamonds.